Welcome to the NitWits, a weekly roundtable discussion on the Penn State Nittany Lions. Our panel features a longtime Penn State media and NitWits tag team, Neil Rudell of the Altoona Mirror and Mark Brennan of Lions 247 with Fight on State. The NitWits are hosted by WTAJ Sports Director Peter Terpstra, and each week we welcome a former Nittany Lion as our special guest analyst. The NitWits are brought to you by Irwin Financial, Raymond James, an independent firm and a firm foundation for your financial future. By Coldwell Banker, no one will work harder to sell your home. By Courtesy Motor Sales of Altoona, where courtesy means a great deal. By The Allegro, where fine cuisine is a way of life. By Health South, your rehab choice. Health South Altoona, ask for us by name. By Monarch Cleaners, for all your dry cleaning, uniform, and mat rentals. By Reed and Solaney Orthodontics. Doctors Reed and Solaney provide orthodontics for children and adults. By W.S. Lee & Sons, your local food distributor. Go Penn State. By Allegheny Street Cigar. Allegheny Street Cigar, Blair County's only cigar lounge. By McAleer's Plumbing, specializing in plumbing, heating, and air conditioning, serving our community since 1886. By Shields Awards and the Sports Shop. We have a fantastic selection of awards, apparel, and memorabilia at great prices. By Freedom RV. Get ready to tailgate this Penn State football season with Freedom RV Rentals. By Jethro's, serving ribs, steaks, Italian specialties, and the famous Prospector Salad since 1983. Takeouts, delivery, and catering. By Lucky's Beer Distributor. Let Lucky's Beer get you ready for PSU game day. By Remax Results Realty Group. Committed to a culture of professionalism, productivity, and exceptional service. By EasyToUse.com. Your Yellow Pages connection in print and online. By Lions 247 with Fight on State, your online home for Penn State football and recruiting coverage. And by the Altoona Mirror, featuring Penn State Game Day every Friday and Penn State Extra every Sunday.
Welcome to Nittany Nation Overtime.
Hey, hi, hello. Welcome to Nittany Nation Overtime. I'm Peter Terpstra, joined by the NitWits. Yep, every time joined by Mark Brennan, Neil Rudell from the Altoona Mirror, and our special guest, Roger Corey. He's a part of the Penn State broadcast team. We appreciate you coming on.
I appreciate the opportunity to say hi to my fellows.
Yeah, let's get right into it. Penn State, big win, 38-3 over Maryland. It might be their most complete game all season, and it was a really special game for a special quarterback for Penn State, Neil.
Yeah, for Trace McSorley to go out the way he did and to really look physically better than he has for about a month, I think really made a big difference for him. His running ability has been one of the most important plays that they've had for 3 years, and when he exploded up the middle for the 20-yard touchdown, you know, kind of the game, you never really got the sense the game was going to be in jeopardy after that.
Yeah, when we see the play right there, when we see the play there, that's when you knew, I think, when he got out in front of the of Miles Sanders and made the block, that's when it looked like he had that pep in his step. And listen, this guy has meant so much to the program. It's been a joy to cover him. He's come out after games, win or lose, always been a class act. So that's why, you know, we try to be impartial, but I have to admit, I mean, I was rooting for him to go out at full strength. Yeah. Now, maybe he wasn't quite full strength, but that's the Trace McSorley that we're used to seeing. And that's what I was so thrilled to see in his final home game. I didn't want to see him limping around out there. Nobody wanted to see that other than maybe Maryland. And to have him come back and play the way he played, I just love that.
I think years from now, when you see video of Trace McSorley, you're going to say, yeah, he's one of the top 3 or one of the top 5 Penn State quarterbacks of all time, which is, you know, those are accolades when you've, you know, got guys like Schaefer, Blackledge, and the ilk.
Kerry Collins,
Kerry Collins.
You know, but I think where you put his career in perspective, statistically, and what he has meant to this program, the leadership, the toughness. I mean, I think you can make a case with the respect to those guys, Collins and Blackledge in particular, who led teams to national championships. I think you can, and then Schaefer did too, but I think that this guy, you could say he might be the best quarterback.
He is the best quarterback, and here's why, in my opinion, I don't mean to argue with you, Roger, but here's why I think he's the best quarterback. All of the people that we mentioned earlier, they came into an established national championship caliber program. If you think about Blackledge, Penn State was playing for a national title just a couple years earlier. If you think about Schaefer playing for a national title just a couple years earlier, Kerry Collins in the mid-90s, they had been to a national title. So to me, Trace McSorley comes into a program that was coming off NCAA sanctions. He took a chance on Penn State. Penn State took a chance on him. And for him to generate a number of wins that he did against that backdrop, I think that to me makes him the best quarterback. And now maybe sometimes with these things are rearview mirror, it's tough to see things in the rearview mirror, but to see what he did for this program, winning and for the program overall, was special.
I think a big part of that is that he kind of always had that chip of like being too small, you know, maybe not having these super high expectations that one of like the top recruits in the country might have, and he's been steady the whole way.
You know what? And they've also done a very good job with him. I mean, there are some systems that don't necessarily suit a quarterback like him. You know, James Franklin's system really didn't suit Christian Hackenberg, but McSorley was able to fit in there seamlessly, and they were able to play to his strengths with Joe Moorhead and Ricky Ronnie, and look what they got out of it, 30-some wins.
He's a winner. He's just simply a winner his whole career, high school and now in college. I think whatever Trace wants to do, he's going to do it so very, very well.
Well, Roger, you've also been around him at the team hotel.
Yeah.
You've been around him at practice. You know, you've been around him more than we have, and to see him interacting with people, with fans at the team hotel, that's been something, hasn't it?
You know, Trace is great. Consistent in his relationships with the media as well, and for guys that travel with the team. Trace, how you doing? At Indiana, for example, Mom and Dad came out to the game, and he was hanging with them, and everyone was laughing. Of course, you know, some of the offensive line joined in the revelry as well there.
Yep.
But in all of my dealings with Trace, respect, and it was mutual, and immediately, and just a nice guy. And I really hate it, and I called him out on it a couple of times. Don't call me sir. I'm just Raj.
The other thing that James Franklin has hit on, and that's a cool scene right there, is the legacy he's left not only as a winner, but the things that you talk about, Roger. That stuff filters down to other players. That respect, that way you handle yourself with class, with the media after wins and losses, all of that stuff. He really set a tone not just for the quarterbacks, but I think for a lot of people, and so did this entire senior class for that matter. You know, these kids, a lot of them came in a very difficult situation for a difficult time for the program. I think Trace McSorley really speaks to, you know, he kind of personifies that entire senior class.
Really one of, not only one of the greatest players, but one of the greatest leaders that they've ever had.
What does this senior class kind of mean in the development of this program? You mentioned coming into a tough situation. Roger, what do you think they have meant, maybe in a historical lens down the road? What have they meant to this team?
Leadership, and they leave an outstanding legacy that the underclassmen are going to pick up, and they'll improve on it if that's possible, and carry it through the years ahead. And there are some awfully good years ahead for Penn State football. And
on that same lines, that defense has really grown throughout the entire season. Neil, Yetur Gross-Matos is just destroying everybody. And then you see guys like John Reed who step up and have, you know, maybe had some tough moments earlier in the season. I feel like that's a consistent theme with everybody on that defense, constant improvement through the year.
Well, I know Mark had predicted Yetur to be one of the breakout players. He's played himself into a budding superstar. I mean, right now you're seeing his number of tackles for losses are already up there with Arrington and Bruce Clark and some of the great dominant defensive players that they've ever had. He's going to have a lot of preseason accolades next year. Yeah, Penn State's lucky that he's not eligible for next year's draft, because I think he would be a guy that could go really high. And, you know, the other guy on defense that we would be remiss if we didn't mention is Kevin Givens. Yeah. To me, you know, and I'm not just saying this because he's from Altoona. I'd like to kid with Neil about Altoona kids now and then, and Roger as well. But you're looking, he's got to be one of the most underrated D tackles in the nation, because he's not always generating the stats. Now, I think he had a couple tackles for loss in this last game, but he's usually eating the space and allowing some of these other players to get it done. Yeah, he's really finishing the season strong. I think he's had a sack now in 7 games. He had 2 yesterday. Played real well against Rutgers. So that's really nice to see. He's got another year. So that defensive line really will be one of the strengths of the team next year. All right, so we got to take a break. We'll be back in a bit. We're going to talk big picture for this Penn State team, and not just this team, but all of college football, including some possible coaching openings that might not have panned out. Next.
The Nitwits are brought to you by Irwin Financial, Raymond James, an independent firm and a firm foundation for your financial future. By Coldwell Banker, no one will work harder to sell your home. By Courtesy Motor Sales of Altoona, where courtesy means a great deal. By The Allegro, where fine cuisine is a way of life. By Health South, your rehab choice. Health South Altoona, ask for us by name. By Monarch Cleaners, for all your dry cleaning, uniform, and mat rentals.
You're watching Nittany Nation Overtime.
Welcome back to the show. Now Penn State has 9 wins on the season. One more would make the 3rd straight double-digit total. Obviously, you know, they got to win that last one. But coming off of sanctions and kind of the rebuilding of this program, what would a 10-win season mean to this team, Mark?
Yeah, I mean, I think that's one of these things where during the heat of the season, I think people kind of lose track of the big picture, and you should. I mean, fans should be disappointed when you lose games to Michigan State and Ohio State that you probably shouldn't have lost. But when you have a chance to take a step back, if this team somehow does win one more game, that's going to be a pretty impressive feat. That, you know, it hasn't happened since the early 80s, if I'm not mistaken. To be able to do that playing in this division with the caliber of coaches and talent that you're playing against, it really, listen, one way to frame this, you look at the difficulties Rutgers and Maryland have had as they've walked into this division, and you know how difficult it is. And Penn State was coming from a lower place than they were in terms of scholarships and that sort of thing.
Yeah, you got to go back to 80 to 82, and I mean, that era was so special. When you look at, I mean, they beat Dan Marino twice, they beat Marcus Allen, and Herschel Walker won a national championship, loaded with talent. Those teams, tremendous games, beat Nebraska twice also, Notre Dame, all at the height of the only guy they couldn't beat was the Bear. But for as far as Big Ten, this is unique, and it's a great selling point for them.
It sure is, and to take just 3 words from Coach Franklin's vocabulary: recruiting, recruiting, recruiting. 3 10-win seasons in a row. That shows stability in your program, and it shows stable and consistent growth as well.
Right. And I think an argument could be made that Penn State, if you look around the Big Ten, Penn State, a fair argument could be made, is the most well-positioned for long-term success. Because who knows what's going to happen with Harbaugh. That seems like it's something waiting to explode. And obviously with Urban Meyer, I mean, who knows what's going to happen there. Now, I'm not saying they're the best right now, because I think until you beat Ohio State consistently, you got to beat the man to be the man. But I think they are positioned the best for long-term success, provided you keep your coach around.
Yeah, I mean, that's an asterisk, and you're going to be transitioning a new quarterback next year. Yeah. That's why I think this 3-year period, it's important to get a win and be 10 wins, because you're really capping the McSorley era.
Yeah. As far as bowl game goes, I've seen predictions: Outback Bowl, Citrus Bowl. With what happened with Michigan and Ohio State obviously winning that one. A Michigan win would have maybe put Penn State in a better position, you think, to get a better bowl game. But what are you guys thinking?
I think there's just a lot of moving parts yet.
Yeah.
You know, presumably, if you can get Ohio State and Oklahoma through this week and Alabama beats Georgia, a lot of people are projecting that Ohio State will make the college football playoff. Yeah. And that would probably put Michigan in the Rose Bowl and maybe put Penn State in the New Year's Six, which possibly could be the Peach. I don't know, maybe the Fiesta, but a lot of people are projecting Orlando as well.
I would guess worst case scenario now is the Citrus Bowl, and that, I don't mean that as a negative toward the Citrus Bowl, because that bowl's been very good to Penn State and vice versa through the years. I think we're not, as we tape this on Sunday, we don't know what the college football playoff rankings are going to be when they come out Tuesday, but the real key is to see, is Penn State somehow able to jump one of these teams that lost, whether it were a Washington State or a LSU. If they're able to jump one of those teams, then I think you have an opportunity.
All right, when it comes to James Franklin as the coach at Penn State, obviously USC is holding on to Coach Helton there.
Which makes everybody's job for the next month a lot easier around
here.
I
was thinking that.
in case that did heat up.
Yeah, but what do you think about Coach Franklin's longevity here at Penn State? He's a Pennsylvania guy.
He is.
Yeah.
He is. He loves it. Obviously, the fan base loves him. I would love to see him stay. That being said, he preaches excellence to his players. Be excellent in everything you do. through your life, and that way good opportunities will present themselves to you. He practices what he preaches. There are going to be some great opportunities coming that guy's way.
He's also preached a lot of loyalty, so I would hope that he would view this as someplace that he would be pretty satisfied with, but you don't know. I mean, you don't know the inner workings of people and their desires and their families. Are they going to be a career coach at one place, or is he going to have a wandering eye?
I think when we heard a few weeks ago when he made the thing about taking care of the assistant coaches, to me, I wonder if that doesn't have some, if you might not be able to connect some dots with who some of these reporters were who reported that there may be interest there. You know, I think that I have no, listen, if that were the case, if somehow someone's agent were to float some things in an effort to get Penn State's assistant coaches more money, I have no problem with that. That's the way the game's played now. I just, the vibe I get, I would be surprised if this guy is looking really to go anywhere. With Bill O'Brien, you knew that if he wasn't there long term. With James Franklin, I think he's found himself a good situation, provided Penn State steps up and keeps doing what it has to do to keep up with all the other powers in college football.
All right, still ahead. Hey, remember when you could park your car at Penn State on the grass fields? The weather's been crazy, right? We get into kind of the things surrounding this season next.
The NitWits are brought to you by Reed and Solaney Orthodontics. Doctors Reed and Solaney provide orthodontics for children and adults. By W.S. Lee & Sons, your local food distributor. Go Penn State. By Allegheny Street Cigar. Allegheny Street Cigar, Blair County's only cigar lounge. By McAleer's Plumbing, specializing in plumbing, heating, and air conditioning, serving our community since 1886. By Shields Awards and the Sports Shop. We have a fantastic selection of awards, apparel, and memorabilia at great prices. By Freedom RV. Get ready to tailgate this Penn State football season with Freedom RV Rentals.
You're watching Nittany Nation Overtime.
Welcome back to Nittany Nation Overtime. I am here with the Nitwits once again. It has been a strange year across Central PA for weather. And the grass parking lots have had to be shut down, like the last 3 games. And I feel like that is adjusted attendance. Obviously, the weather Saturday was just cold and rainy, and it was not a full house. What do you think about kind of everything surrounding game day, how they handled it?
I think there needs to be, we've come to a point where there needs to be a reevaluation of a lot of things around the stadium and their facilities. I know they have a grand master plan, but that is a number of years down the road. It is very pretty to be able to drive past in the summer and you see all the green parking, the grass, but are we at a place that maybe they need to pave some of those lots in the north end zone? Those people are paying in the range of $2,000, and that they need to take a bus from Walmart.
Yeah, if you're going to charge people what you're charging, you know, whether it be via donations, ticket prices, and parking prices, that you're paying more than you would to go to see NFL games. If you're going to do that, it's your responsibility. I don't know what the answer is because it's not my responsibility, but it's the university's responsibility to take care of this and make sure that you have safe, good parking for people who are paying to go to the games. It's ridiculous. It's one thing for this to happen one game, but for it to happen 3 games, listen, you could tell me about record rainfall all you want. Somebody has to be thinking in advance about this sort of thing.
I'll talk to our weather guys.
On top of that, you want to talk about a low moment. The press box restrooms were inoperable yesterday. I mean, it's not just the writers. There's 4 floors up there. You have donors that go up top. Maybe they're not on the same as the luxury suites. You have ABC. You know, I'm standing in line with Mark Jones down at those troughs. Downstairs they had to, I mean, really, that was really, there was no dignity to that at all, what they forced the media into. And I know it was beyond their control, obviously, but that was a big problem, very embarrassing to them.
One thing I would say, listen, I want to make sure that we're very clear. The sports information or athletic communications people do a fantastic job.
Sure.
They are as good as it is. They do as good a job as they're in business. This has absolutely nothing to do with them. They're terrific to us. They treat us really well. They're great with information. But when you have that being mentioned on national TV by the sideline reporter talking back up to the guys in the booth, that's a really poor reflection. And let's face it, that you are looking at the worst press box in the Big Ten by far. I don't care. I mean, I'm fine with it, but when you have national TV people coming in and complaining about it, that's an issue.
So what would be the first step? I mean, what?
Well, I don't know. They just need to address some of the stuff. It's typically almost.
We don't have answers. What are you kidding me? Just complaining about stuff.
It's typically about 80 degrees in there, but it's other stuff. I mean, they had a helicopter swoop over at tailgate this year. And then, you have an older fan base that has been very loyal. I think some of these things can't just be flippantly dismissed.
Poor Roger. We can't drag him into it. But I mean, the real key is when it's sometimes, well, not sometimes, you could watch the game at home on your 70-inch TV, and it's just that much more convenient. If this stuff keeps up, you're going to have more and more people taking that route.
I can see them paving the north lot, but the other yellow lots, they're not going to touch. I can't see that happening ever.
Well,
this is going to be fun stuff to talk to Sandy Barber about over the bowl. I mean, we usually get an availability, and I'm sure they're cognizant of what's going on. Whatever beef they're getting from us, I can't even imagine what they're hearing from the fans.
All right, they're rolling the music. Sure. They're telling me to go to break. We got one last break here on Nittany Nation Overtime. Penn State now awaits to see where they're going for the bowls next.
The NitWits are brought to you by Jethro's, serving ribs, steaks, Italian specialties, and the famous Prospector Salad since 1983. Takeouts, delivery, and catering. By Lucky's Beer Distributor. Let Lucky's Beer get you ready for PSU game day. By Remax Results Realty Group, committed to a culture of professionalism, productivity, and exceptional service. By EasyToUse.com, your Yellow Pages connection in print and online. By Lions 247 with Fight on State, your online home for Penn State football and recruiting coverage. And by the Altoona Mirror, featuring Penn State Game Day every Friday and Penn State Extra every Sunday.
You're watching Nittany Nation Overtime.
Welcome back to Nittany Nation Overtime, and this is the last one. Nitwit of the Year, Mark Brennan.
Whoa.
High five to him. I was talking
before
the show. Oh yeah, yeah. I was wondering if we got like a
what?
trophy.
How
or
about
anything?
a recount?
Yeah, look at the last place.
Look at you.
Congratulations, pal.
Thank
I
you.
think that's
Thank
2
you.
years in a row. You nailed this year. You nailed the Iowa game, 30 to
Lucky,
24.
got a little bit lucky.
And you only got one for that.
And I apologize for making fun of you in the third quarter of the game on Saturday. I'm sorry. So if we're being magnanimous about it.
How about the first and the second quarter?
Well, no, I'm not taking that back.
All right, so Penn State is getting ready for a bowl game. Which one, we don't know, but what kind of things are they doing from here on out?
Well, the real key is hitting the recruiting trail. There's now, with the early signing period, December 19th, that's become the time, for Penn State at least, when the vast majority of their kids are going to sign. They still have to do some work wrapping up maybe a handful of other kids that they're going to get to join the class. But that's the biggest thing for them right now in terms of long-term viability of the program.
And when you look at how college football has changed, December at one time would be sort of a little bit more of a down time.
Yeah.
Now you have to swing right into high gear to button some of these recruits down.
Yeah, and obviously Roger would know this as well as anybody because you're around the program, but this is also a real key time for the young players in the program. These bowl practices that they're going to get when they come back together.
So valuable.
Yeah.
In not just short term, but in the long term. And not just the practice, the technique, but they develop leadership skills during that bowl prep time.
You mentioned Givens. Real quick, I wanted to have a shout out to Zach Simpson. Hollidaysburg kid was one of the seniors that was introduced yesterday. Was a 3-year letterman, mainly on special teams, and represented them real well.
And the community, yeah.
That's going to do it for our last regular season edition Nittany Nation Overtime. Folks, we will catch you next time.
The NitWits are brought to you by Irwin Financial, Raymond James, an independent firm and a firm foundation for your financial future. By Coldwell Banker, no one will work harder to sell your home. By Courtesy Motor Sales of Altoona, where courtesy means a great deal. By The Allegro, where fine cuisine is a way of life. By Health South, your rehab choice. Health South Altoona, Ask for us by name. By Monarch Cleaners, for all your dry cleaning, uniform, and mat rentals. By Reed and Solaney Orthodontics. Doctors Reed and Solaney provide orthodontics for children and adults. By W.S. Lee & Sons, your local food distributor. Go Penn State. By Allegheny Street Cigar. Allegheny Street Cigar, Blair County's only cigar lounge. By McAleer's Plumbing, specializing in plumbing, heating, and air conditioning, serving our community since 1886. By Shields Awards and the Sports Shop. We have a fantastic selection of awards, apparel, and memorabilia at great prices. By Freedom RV. Get ready to tailgate this Penn State football season with Freedom RV Rentals. By Jethro's, serving ribs, steaks, Italian specialties, and the famous Prospector Salad since 1983. Takeouts, delivery, and catering. By Lucky's Beer Distributor. Let Lucky's Beer get you ready for PSU game day. By Remax Results Realty Group. Committed to a culture of professionalism, productivity, and exceptional service. By EasyToUse.com. Your Yellow Pages connection in print and online. By Lions 247 with Fight on State, your online home for Penn State football and recruiting coverage. And by the Altoona Mirror, featuring Penn State Game Day every Friday and Penn State Extra every Sunday. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next week.